Okay. So let's start with the pivot table. Let's go. What is pivot table? In its most basic form, a pivot table takes data and summarize it so you can make sense of it all without typing any formulas. That's what I said before. This is the table with the date, buyer, type, and amount. And using the pivot table, here we have got, like in this format, we don't know how much mom have or how much dad have or how much Kelly have. But without doing sum if formula, before we used to do sum if formula, right? We do sum if and we will select the criteria as mom and we will select the sum of range as amount, right? Here we don't do this all. Easily a pivot table will give us how much dad had, how much mom, and how much Kelly, how much total. It gives me all in 1 or 2 clicks. So what I will do, just I will select this, go to insert, pivot table. The pivot table, it will ask me, do you need to create a pivot table in a different worksheet or existing worksheet? Let me click in the existing worksheet. I'm just clicking here. Okay. So it's asked me the information, what kind of information I need. I want to know the buyer, the mom buyer or dad buyer. So I'm just clicking the buyer and I'm clicking the amount. I want the amount. I'm just clicking the amount. See, you got it, right? So dad, Kelly, mom. So here I can rename, like they have typed buyer here. I can rename BUYER, buyer, sum of amount, otherwise total amount. And they have in a dollar symbol. To do that, what you have to do, what you can do, just go to home screen. From here, just select these 3 cells or 4 cells. Just click the dollar. That's it. If you want decimal place, add the decimal places. See how simply it happened, right? Instead of doing sum if formulas and like keeping what do you call that drop down list and all, simply we have done. If in case I want to see only dad, you can just type dad, as we have seen in the filter table. We seen this option, right? Just filter dad, so you can see only dad. No, I want all. Select all. Select all. You can do it all. All the filter options you know already. Now I want to change not only the buyer, I want the type as well. So dad, sports, Kelly, book, music and tickets, mom, food and fuel. So you can see the type also. Each buyer, what kind of type you have. And for your example, you maybe have like what do you call it? The pastries, or you want to know the drinks, or you want to know the merchandise. You can have like this thing this side, and other item names or other side. So you can have this kind of totals, like summarized reports. Or you can do this way also. Why it's going inside dad, mom? I want like the other way around. So here I have keep in the row. Let me bring in the column. See here. See, you can see like this, right? You can see this a different way. Or no, I want the other way around. You want to change to the columns to date and date to columns. Still you can do it. Bring the buyers in the columns and keep the types in the row. So dad, Kelly, mom, easily you can see how, what is for dad and what is for Kelly and what is for mom. Got it? So you can change the names here, and whatever you can want to change, you can change it yourself. And otherwise, no, I want date wise. Remove all. I want only date. Each date. So January how much, February how much. So date automatically it will, like create a hierarchy. So you know that month wise also, January month, February month. January 454 and each date. What in first, 15, 17, and 27, and February. Total February, and then 2nd February, 20 February, 25th February, and all overall total. This is subtotal of each month and the grand total. And you can also bring the buyer on the column side if you want. Bring the buyer on the column side. So you can see in January, total 454. How much dad, how much Kelly, how much mom. Same February 380. How much mom and how much Kelly. Right. And I don't want buyer. Let me see the type. Put the types in column. So type is also food, fuel, music, sports, tickets, all grand total, everything is there. So just you have to understand this. This is for what do you call it? January grand total, and this is February grand total, and this is the hierarchy wise. Or you can just hide these things also if you don't want. Simply you can see in this way also. It's all done with the pivot table without doing formulas or any kind of design or anything. It gives you in a beautiful way, right? And even if you want to change the color, I don't like this color. Let me change the color. Go to design and change it as you like. Understand? So this is pivot table. Yeah. So it looks so good. Now, to do that, you have to learn how to do that. You have to understand each and everything in the data cells. Then only you can do it in a meaningful way. Otherwise, you don't know what you're doing. Okay. So how to do that? Let me go one by one. Okay. So first you have to understand here are more sophisticated. So this is what they have done. Before it was they have given only the buyer wise report. Now second, they have shown you the buyer wise type wise report, the buyer on the column side and the type in the row side, and the total, subtotal, everything is available here. Okay. So this is the table. And third, from that pivot table, you can create a pivot chart as well. The pivot chart will help you to visualize the data from the pivot table. This also you can do. You have to understand these are the columns and these are the rows. You have to understand what is rows and what is columns, right? So whatever on the top, these are called as columns. We have 4 columns here. That as a date, buyer, type, and amount. We have 4 columns and we have several rows. Rows could be more and more. We can have hundreds of rows, numbers of rows, and columns has also some table have 30 columns, some table have 40 columns. And if it's a timesheet table, you will have only for dates 30 columns only for date, 1 to 30, 31 columns for only for date, and then you will have the employee name and the informations and all, and the total number of present or absent. You will have many more columns in the timetable tables. So you know what is columns and what is rows already, right? Now next. And here, when you're using pivot table, they use the word mostly field. So what is field? Field is nothing but the column is called field. Okay. Why the word field? It's just a traditional term used working with the data and database applications. The pivot table menus and buttons use the word field a lot. So if you get used to it now, it will make things easier as you make pivot tables. So instead of columns, you remember as a field most of the time. Okay. The columns also will be used in the pivot table, but you have to understand what is field also. A field is nothing but a column. Okay. Okay. So when you have the important field, you should know what is my important field, because all your if this is your data, all your reports based on this table, right? Without this table, without this field or without this column, this table doesn't make any sense, isn't it? If there is no amount, there is no meaning at all. What is buyer doing? What is types are doing here? If there is no amount, there is no meaning in this table. So you should understand which is my important column or which is my important field. You should know that. So you can sum up or you can average it or you can do mean, median, whatever, all on your targeted field. Which is the targeted field? The amount is your target field. It is like a dependent variable. We call it a dependent variable. This variable depends on this buyer and type and date. So this is your dependent variable. So they showed you how to do the sum amount using this table. How to do that? Just you will select this table, go to insert, pivot table. As I said, use the existing to keep in the same sheet. Just click here. Okay. Then just bring the amount, will sum. So I'm bringing the amount field. These are called field. I told you, right? Why we using the word field here? All the columns will be in the field, pivot table fields. Understand? And the amount field, I brought it in a values. So this is my target value. So I bring the amount in the target value. So it gives me the total amount. So to bring it in a dollar, just go to home, click the dollar sign. If you don't want dollar sign, bring it in KD. Just click here. It will give you so many options: euro, dollar, rupees, whatever. If you need a KD, Kuwait dinar, just type KWD. And you need 3 decimal place in KD, you can do that as well. So this is how you do the sum. So you understand? The columns are called field. So these are the fields. So you brought the field to the value. So you got the sum. Now, these are the numeric columns, right? So these are the what they're saying here, because it's emphasis on the concept of your pivot table value field. If one of the fields in your data contains numeric values, a pivot table can total it up. When it does this, it's called a pivot table value field. If there is a numeric column, pivot table automatically will do the sum because it understands it's a numeric value. So like we have done, what else we can do here? So you have selected and insert a pivot table, then existing, I want to be the pivot table to be here. Click OK. Then I brought the field. These are the 4 fields. I brought the field to values. So automatically it sums it up. And you're saying like, no, I don't want to sum it up. I maybe want to see the average. So just clicking this arrow, you will have these options. Value field setting. Here it says sum, change it as a count or change it as an average. So when you change it as average, it gives you the average of the amount. See, as I said in the last class, so if you select all the numerical columns, here you have the sum 834 and you have the average 119. So it gives me with the decimal place. It's rounded up here, but it gives me with the decimal place. And you don't want so much decimal place, just reduce it. You can do it as well. Keep it in a 3 digit. Understand, right? Any doubts so far?
Yes, sir. No, sir.
Okay. So this we have seen before. So we added a conditions here to divide the value field to a buyer. So that's what they're doing here. They have added the buyer here. How they added the buyer here? Select the table again, insert a pivot table, existing, as I said, keep it in this place, give OK, bring the amount as sum. So when you bring only the amount field, this is a field, huh? When you bring the amount in the sum value field, it gives you the amount. Now they have a buyer field. And where you want the buyer field, they kept it in a row. So you want the buyer field in a row. Okay. So keep the buyer field in a row. So it gives you the row wise information. Understand? So row wise, it segregated the total sum. Before it just did the sum total. Now it segregated the value depending on the buyer because you kept the buyer in the row side. Understand? So this is what this field shows. So you know how to create a pivot table. You know how to bring the sum total. Now you know how to add the rows in your pivot table, right? Now next, instead of buyer, they brought it here the type. Similarly, again select the table, insert pivot table, existing, click here, you OK, bring the amount on the value side, and this time bring the type on the row side. So it gives you the rows and the amount. Is it clear?
Yes,
Jamila,
sir.
Sarah? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, so what is this values for? Nabil? Only sum?
Only-
You can do all the calculations, all the numerical calculations. Okay. Only the numerical calculations. What will happen if I bring the buyer here? What's happening? I bring the buyer in the value column. What happened? It counted the how many buyers.
Yeah.
Understand? It's counting me the buyers, because buyers, it cannot sum the buyers, it can count the buyers, right? What if I brought the date here? It can count also the date. Okay, how many days? Okay, so this sale for 2 days, the food sale for 2 days. Okay, total 7 days. Say again. Yeah. Yeah, it's up to you. If you want, see, it's up to you. Maybe you don't want the buyer. Okay, just remove the buyer field. Okay, maybe you don't want the buyer, but you want to know how many days this is sale for, how many days? 7 days, 834. You want to know how many days, right? So in that case, you will bring the count date. So you can type here days. So you know that how many days are in the particular book. It will make more sense if you remove the field of what do you call it, rows of, from, bring the date in a row. See, in January 4 days, in February 3 days. It makes sense, right? So January 4 days sales 454, February 3 days sales 380. So what are the 4 days? Just click here, you can see 1st January, 15th January, 17 and 21. These are the 4 days. Understand? So total 7 days here. So you can bring whatever you can bring it yourself, but the data should make sense to you. Understand? So this is how you are using the value column, row columns. Okay. Now go to next. So that's what they're saying, row field and value fields are here. We have seen already this one. Row field breakdown. So here they're showing how you create the pivot table. So we have seen these are the fields. You can bring your field to the value, rows, columns, or filter, wherever you can bring as you like, but make sure the report makes sense. Not just bringing everything in one place, and if the report doesn't make sense, then you don't know what it's saying, then it will not help you. Okay, so they're showing how to drag it down, how to drag and down, drop, right? So this all we have seen already. They have given a task, pivot table area, already. Jamila, are you using the computer or the tab?
I'm using the computer, sir. I'm also trying once we're on the lesson. I'm trying. There is a pivot table, so I make one table from
Good.
from the
So in that
previous.
case, all of you have a computer. Come to the 18th sheet and create this pivot table. Okay, and share the screenshot in the group. I'll give you 2 minutes. 2 minutes. The time starts now.
Sorry, sir, I didn't get you.
I give you 2 minutes. You have all of you are in the computer, right? So pivot table tutorial, click on the 18th sheet, and this is the one. So by using this, you have to create a pivot table. Here they have already given the pivot table. Just, you have to drag and drop and make a report, a nice report. Or what they're saying, just follow it up. A pivot table area, pivot table fields, amount fields down to the values, and the buyer field to the rows. You can do it, right?
Sir, I do it, but actually not in the tour. It's in my file before. I just follow you when you're teaching us.
Fine, no problem. But you are in the sheet number 18, right? Are you using this file or no? The pivot table tutorial.
No, sir. I just follow you when you're teaching, and then I open one file with the
Oh,
table. It's from the
okay.
other class, and then
Okay,
I saw.
Go to file. Here you can see the pivot table tutorial. If you cannot see here, just more more templates or where you can find. Okay, so more template you can find a pivot table. Okay, just find it and do it. Otherwise, you can do it in your own file also. No problem. Just create a pivot table and send me a screenshot in the WhatsApp so I can see how you did it with the rows and columns and everything. 2 minutes almost going to finish.
Sir, I said because I don't have the pivot tutorial. This is from my the last time.
My mic was off. Sorry. Jamila,
Yes, sir.
you did it fine, good. But small mistake. Sum of unit price. What is the unit price of add-ons in real? In your original table?
Just for a while, sir. I'll check. Add-ons total amount.
Not total
What?
amount, the sum.
39.
Huh?
The sum?
No, not the sum. What I'm saying is the unit price you cannot sum. Understand? You should not sum the unit price. Yeah?
Okay, sir. I can
Yeah.
remove it.
Yeah, not remove it, but you want the sum. Let's say you need a unit price here. What should you use? Instead of sum, what you can do? Let's imagine you want to see the quantity is 130 is good and the amount is 39. So 130 total amount is 39, right? So what it means? The quantity multiplied by unit price is the total amount, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But here if you see, if I multiply the 30 quantity with the 1.32, or I will get 39 KD more, right? It should be more than
Mm, yeah.
150 or like minimum 156, I think, something around like that, right? So we can see it's a mistake here. Why? Because sum of unit price, you should not sum the unit price. You can do where I have seen the count, sum and all, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes,
go
sir.
to that place, go to that place. Let's say this is the amount. Yeah. So click here, value settings, give the minimum or the average.
Okay.
When you give minimum or average, it will give you the accurate unit price.
Okay, I will try it.
Yeah.
It become like this. It become like this, sir. I will send it again in WhatsApp.
Nabil, are you doing? Nabil?
Yes, sir. Just I'm
Done?
trying to make it for in the new file.
Okay,
Not yet,
fine.
sir. I'm not.
It's okay. Huh? Can just copy, like in the screen. If you want to share the screen, just select and Control C and open the WhatsApp and Control V. It will come automatically. To send the screenshot, if you are in office computer and you already have the WhatsApp web in your computer, just copy in the Excel. It will be more easier. Just copy the cell like this, and just go there and just do Control V. It will automatically will come easily. Understand?
Sir, I'll make it for later and I'll send it.